So you're once again joining myself and Luke on the banks of Welham Estate Lake. Now, if you haven't seen part one of this, as that's what we're calling it, because we've been here once before, then please do check the link in the description below where we had our first trip here a couple of months back, was it now?
Yeah, so late April that we actually came down here, so I think the video was out May sort of time.
Yeah, weather was all over the place, it was wet and windy at times, but we had a really good session. And because we had such a good session, we booked it back in again to come back and do a bit more filming. We got lots to do on this trip, but of course we've had to bring our own rods again.
Joe! Oh, that's some big old swirls down there. So basically, where we've got so much filming to do, we're going to take advantage of being quite mobile. We are going to set a swim each out during for the night, so we can get the rods out overnight. But we're going to be nicking an hour here and there during the days to hopefully try and catch a fish, which is why we're around the far side of the lake with a bucket in hand. We're going to put a bit of bait out into a few different swims.
And that is proof of why we're doing it.
That is exactly why. So again, in the previous video, I did a bit of stalking. I came around here and I had 3 fish pretty quickly, within about 10-15 minutes of putting the rod out each time. So they definitely get around this bank, definitely up for a feed. So yeah, let's get a little bit of bait out and check them out later and then go and get all set up, I think.
And that's pretty much hence why it's a fairly rough intro walking around. We haven't got all the time in the world on this session because we've got so much else to do. So flitting around, like Luke just said, kind of be a lot of stalking hopefully and good fun fishing, but taking opportunities as and when they come up, and hopefully we get amongst them like we did last time as well. So there's a few nice looking spots here, get some bait in.
For this session, we're going to be using the 𝘃𝗶𝗀 from Richworth, which is part of the 𝘃𝗶𝗀 range, obviously, but it's a really nice fishy sort of flavour. So for fish that have just spawned or recently spawned, height of summer, they do like to get on the fish meals. So I'm going to show you the mix. First of all, I like to use some 8mm 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲 pellets. So they've got all the fish meal flavour in it, alongside obviously all the benefits of a really nice fish meal pellet. So really good to get them grubbing about. And then it's basically a variety of sizes of boilies. So I'm going to put in a kilo of 20mm. So some big food items. Put in a kilo of 10mm. So some really tiny food items. And then a couple of kilos of 15s. So all of that in there. And we've got a nice full bucket there. So I mix them all around so you've got all the different kind of sizes and the pellets all mixed amongst it. And then on top of that, just some of the bait soak. So for a bucket this sort of size, I normally use about half a tub or half a bottle. I give that a good old swish round there. And then comes the fun part where I'm going to stink for the rest of the session. So give that a good old mix around, get some of them pellets in there as well. Now, I do usually prefer to do this in advance, so maybe a couple of days before a session, but more so I can actually show you the mix and show you what goes into it. I decided to do it on the day, but if you do it in advance, then obviously the boilies absorb some of this oil, some of this bait soak, and then they leach it out over time as well. But for what we're doing here, for going for a quick bite, it's not such a problem to just coat the boilies lightly in the oil. So there we go. Once that's all mixed in properly, you've got a really nice little mix here, full of attraction.
So following on from what we said earlier, we've been at the lake for probably 9 hours now and we're yet to get a single rod in the water. We've done quite a bit of prep work and put some bait in some various different spots as you saw earlier. So we've now got a little rod sorted to go around and hopefully try those spots, because they've been rested for what, a good 3 hours or so now?
Yeah, it must be, if not more. Yeah, we put a bit of bait in probably what, about 12 different spots or something. So there's, yeah, most of the far margin we've got little bits of bait, little trap set, and then further down the other end as well, there's a really nice bay kind of filled with pads. So we've put a little bit of bait in there as well. So yeah, as Joe was saying, we're going to be taking our little stalking rods around and hopefully nick one out. But it's been very hot, hasn't it?
Surprisingly hot. I mean, you didn't really cater for the weather, wearing black jeans and a black tie. I know I'm wearing black as well. It was a brave choice. But at least I've got some air vents in my trousers. Well, I'm wearing shorts. But yeah, it's absolutely baking hot. It's just gone.
Well, it's gone 5 now.
20 past 5 now, and it's still easily low 20s. So it's very warm. But at least the far bank where we're about to go and fish is tree lined and shady, which would be quite nice. Yeah, it's going to be a welcome change to being on this bank, I think. And also, obviously, we've set up in these swims, and the plan of action is they spawned several weeks ago. It's not really been fished in the last couple of weeks, and from what we've seen, there's a lot of fish moving around. They're on the move. They're going to be on the feed. So we've gone quite heavy baiting approach on the rod that's between our swims. So we're going to have my left-hand rod and your right-hand rod fishing onto one spot where we put several kilos. Again, probably about 2 hours ago now.
Yeah. So that'll be nice and rested by the time we actually get to putting the rods out, because we've got to film a little bit more with the other guys, and then obviously doing a bit of stalking as well, so it'll be another 2-3 hours I imagine before we put the rods out for the night. So yeah, again, bait out there, swims rested.
Good work in our favour. It could bait there but no lines.
Yeah, it's quite a nice spot as well, isn't it? So it's basically just off an aerator, but they're different type of aerators. So it's not like one that you're going to get caught around. It comes I think it's just underground pipes, and so
the fish just scooting across the surface out there.
Yeah, right on the far bank again. So yeah, it's basically nice and solid around that aerator. So yeah, good chance of something off that. It's the rest of the lake is pretty silty, so to find hider areas like that is definitely worth persevering with, I think. So should we go and film what we need to film, and then go around and try and catch one?
Hopefully get one before bed. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
That'd be nice. Alright. Yeah, let's give this a go.
Right. Finders keepers, is that the saying? Or first spotters getters? I'll move on down here.
That's alright, yeah. Oh, they're on the edge of the pads as well. Joey, there's one coming out just on the edge of the pads where we put the bait.
I see him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to give this half hour. Awesome.
I don't know how deep it is, but it wouldn't take much for him to drop down.
Oh, no. I wouldn't worry about that. Right, let's try and get this in.
Oh, look at the pads moving. Oh, there's a lot of fish in here.
Yeah, there's a lot here. Oh, that's solid. That's absolutely solid.
Yeah. Fish just spooked.
Come on, a 6-footer.
$5:47. We've been here since 8 AM. We now have a rod out. Oh, you work in the fishing industry. You must fish all the time.
Well, I've just done half an hour in this spot, slightly over to be honest, because there's been activity, but they just seem to be on the surface and not actually dropping down at all. I think Joe's just brought his rod in, and basically all the fish that we are seeing, like I say, are on the surface. And it's about 4 foot they actually drop to, so they're just cruising over the spots and not actually acting like they're going on the bait at all. So I think we're going to go right down to the furthest point that we've baited up, just by the island, and just see if there's any more kind of feeding activity there rather than them just cruising about.
What they're doing here, I'm sure they're doing on our baited spot up there and everywhere else. So I think there's more chance doing this, putting 3 rods out in our swim instead.
Oh, definitely, yeah, 100%. There's far more chance of a quick bite this way. Yeah, so let's head down that way, see if we can nick one out of there. If not, then we're going to stop back here on the way back, because there's so many fish, but like I said, they're just not dropping down. So if we can just give it a little bit of time, let it cool down a little bit, I'm going to stop because Joe wants to go. But yeah, we're still in with a chance, don't worry. Just moved around into the second swim, and as I put mine out first last time, Joe's put his first out this time, and he's gone just tight against some pads where there was loads of movement straight away, but it dropped about 7 foot, really surprising just on the edge of them. But I'm basically, it's like a little point, so there's a few little fishable areas on the same point, so I'm just to the right hand side, and I just had a look, and 2 quite nice commons just went past quite close in. Again, this is one of the areas we've put a bit of bait, so I'm just going to drop this in. Yeah, it's about 6 foot there. It's a nice solid donk, to be fair, but it's surprising how deep it is in some of these margins. Right. Well, we're giving it half hour here, and it doesn't feel as good as the previous spot. We're going to try one more further down, and if that's no good, then I think we'll head back to the original spot. We've seen a few around here, but again, they're just cruising about on the surface, and where it's 6-7 foot deep, they're just like the other spot, they're not dropping down. But the spot right down the other end of the lake that we baited up is a lot shallower. So if there's fish in there, they're going to obviously be a lot closer to the bait. So I'm going to bring this in now, and then we head down to that one.
Well, currently away from our swim, so we don't have any backup batteries. That's about to die, so we didn't bother filming, thinking it may not happen, and it did. So really quickly, Luke's just popped around the corner, and it's quite a decent sized common. Probably the biggest common I've had out of here, considering last time I never quite broke the 20 mark. Not going to jinx it, because it probably won't be, but this looks a fairly good size. So let's get sorted.
£19.12.
It will be £19.12, knowing my luck here. So let's get it on the bank and have a look at it. It's going to get me soaked, isn't he? I can sense he's going to be a bit of a soaker. Hooks come out. Barbed as well, but they just come out. Simple as that. Oh, he's dinged me up point. Fucker. Nothing a bit of a Nash thingy-majiggy can't fix. You've zeroed this, so if this is 1915, I'm re-zeroing. It's a 20.
Yeah.
21 and a half, bang on. Come on, I'm getting shaky now. You should have been focusing when I was good. Oh. I got the 20 I wanted on the first bite. Happy days. Well, there we go. The result of the third spot, which to be honest I really wasn't feeling after not getting anything in the first 2 spots, which I think looked more likely. I was just sat there, just talked to the missus on the phone, saying I'm probably going to head back and have some tea soon, and it just whizzed away. Didn't give much of a fight. I thought it was quite a small fish. As it rolled into the net, well, proofs in the weighing of the fish. 21 pounds, sorry, 7, so 21 and a half. The last time we were here, I really wanted a 20 the whole trip. Never quite got it by a few ounces shy. So the first fish of this trip to get the 20. that's my goal accomplished. Hopefully many more to come, but very, very happy with that. Let's slip it back. So I would say we finally got back into the swim, but as you can probably quite clearly see, the light is failing us. It's nearly 10 o'clock and the day's just flown by. It's what it is like with this job. That's not a complaint, it's just the way it is. So fishing does come secondary, but obviously had that fish earlier, got back to our swims and got our rods out. And we've done a few different things on each rod. So if you want to start off with what you're doing for the night.
Yeah, so I think we briefly touched upon the fact that where our swim's quite close, we were going to have a spot in the middle where we put a little bit of bait out. So I've put my right rod onto that spot. It's 8.5 wraps from my swim, so nice comfortable distance.
Did you hit it first time earlier? All 8 wraps of it?
I didn't hit the clip first time. My middle rod, I've gone across to the far bank. Haven't walked around or anything, I've just clipped up tight to it and then just put a little mesh bag on. And then my left rod, I've got aimed into the bay, which is on my left, which if you did watch the previous video, that's the bay that I actually moved down to and had a few fish. So pads are right up now, really thick pads, so I've basically got one just on the edge of the pads.
Well, it's the other side of where we were trying to stalk them out from earlier.
Yes, yeah, it was, yeah, the opposite side of them pads. Again, little mesh bag on them, and with that rod I haven't put any loose bait over the top of it at all. It's just that mesh bag with 5 little boilies and then a little pop-up over the top. On the middle rod I have walked around and put a little bit of bait out, so that's where my rods are for the night. They've been out, what, an hour now?
Yeah, we finally had some food and...
Yeah, had some food, just about got refreshed before it actually gets dark. And with your rods?
Yep, very much the same. The left-hand rod, which we were just saying, we're sharing a spot basically. They're probably less than a rod length apart, quite heavily baited, but sort of spread out. The middle one I've got going to the far bank. Oh, that's not a mozzie. I've been bitten already today. Gone to the far bank and just under a tree. So I could have done a cast to where it's slightly clear, but where we were walking up and down earlier, we could see where the fish were kind of hanging out, and it was typically under tree lines and things. So yes, not everyone's got a baiting pole that can reach, what was it, 60 odd metres we calculated across.
About 68 metres.
So we did combine both sets of our poles for this to get it across. May seem extreme, but to me it meant that I could position that one exactly where I wanted it to. I don't have a bait boat, and I probably wouldn't use one either, just preference, but I've dropped it there and it's a nice big bed of long day, big bed of bait on that one. And then the right hand rod I've just put out similar to what you've done with your left one, with no bait around it. It's just a little mesh bag of boilies so that I know that it's presented right, it's landed nicely on top of the silt. And from what we can tell, the fish have been moving about all day. I think they're going to be on the bait, so we've got heavy baited patches, a parcel of bait for passing fish, and then just maybe it's almost like a single with another one. So we've got a lot of bases covered for the night going ahead.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point to wrap it up really, because it's getting dark. I think we're both done in. It's probably worth actually saying as well, obviously we've been here since what, 9:30 this morning?
Yeah, no, earlier than that. I was here just after 8.
Just after 8?
After a 3-hour drive.
Just after 8, so it's what, 10 o'clock now? Yes. So we've been here 14 hours. And we've been fishing for, well, 1 hour with the rods out for the night and an hour stalking. So it might seem like we're fishing all the time and kind of got all the time in the world to catch fish, but that's kind of, to give a realistic spin on it, it's very much about grabbing chances, which kind of links in with what we were saying earlier, that we think it is going to be one of them sessions.
And it paid off. So flitting around doing the little baiting up, and you don't need a 40-hour session with the rods constantly out, because we haven't done that today, and yet between us we've managed to get a low 20, and I'm sure there's more to come. So it's definitely worth doing that. And even if you get to swimming, you're not quite getting your kit out quickly enough in your mind, it really doesn't matter. A rod in the right place for what, 5 minutes earlier when I had that bite in the right spot, got the bite. So it really doesn't matter too much. But having said that, it is quite nice to have 3 set out on the spot.
Oh, and then we can just chill,
go to bed. Yeah, and hopefully raring to go in the morning. With coffee, lots of coffee. So after yesterday's long day, what we really needed was a nice settled long night's sleep, and unfortunately that's exactly what we got. The rods did not go off at all. Odd liner before I went properly to bed. Other than that, been absolutely dead quiet. Same for Luke next door, which is really bizarre because we've put the effort in that baited spot, like the spread baited spot. Obviously I shipped one out all the way to the far bank with a nice little parcel of bait, and then the other one was just roaming where I've been seeing a lot of fish cruising the previous day. Nothing worked, and same for Luke, nothing happened. And a couple of the other people were filming here on this trip, nothing as well. So really bizarre. Thought it would have done well. The weather looks spot on for it today, but unfortunately the fish have got sex on their mind once again. So they had spawned a while ago. We were cleared for all that, so that's why we thought it was pretty safe. But as with a lot of places, they can sometimes stagger it or go again, and that's what they're doing. So fortunately our 2-day trip, or nearly 2.5 day trip sort of thing, has got to be cut completely short and rods in, because the fair thing to do, leave them to it. And I feel quite lucky that I managed to have that one yesterday. That just shows being opportunist and putting bait in spots and making the most of your time. Got me a bite that otherwise I may not have had, and as now they're spawning, there's not going to be any more chance of catching any more fish, so the rods have got to come in. But it's been a lovely little trip anyway. It's lovely to come back down here, see the place completely matured more from even a few months ago when we were last here, with the pads up and everything. It's a beautiful spot, so love to come down again. Hopefully the next time they aren't spawning and they're up for a bit of a feed, but it's just the way it goes. It's how fishing is. But I hope you enjoyed this little video anyway. Please hit like if you did, and subscribe to us and hit the bell icon if you haven't already, so you don't miss any future uploads from us. And also follow us on all the social media platforms coming up on the bottom of your screen now. But for now, that's it from myself and Luke next door, who's just stuck the kettle back on, so I'm going to go good drill on him. But yeah, cheers for watching, and I'll see you again soon.